Now, I should have put this in the last video, but it skipped my mind when I was talking about it. The way that I got out of my parents' house and over to David Brotzman's house, the evil landlord, where I believe someone was maliciously placing me in a room next to a, a habitual drug user and a habitual substance user, to empathically torture me and manipulate me and make my body live on symptoms as he was, because he's using substances and I'm not. And remember, I want to remind y'all about the COVID evidence too, that you could go back and cross check, where they manipulated me in jail, and then the whole kitchen staff, because of my empathicness, and they were controlling me with these synthetic frequencies, got COVID. And yes, I was the second inmate in jail to get COVID. There were 7 people before me to get COVID, 1 inmate and 6 guards. And because of this, 2 people from my cell got moved to the kitchen after I received COVID. And this was the week before I was maliciously told that I failed a drug test in jail. So this is how these frequencies, this is proof of how they work. So I believe I was maliciously moved over to Dave's house. The as soon as when I came downstairs to my mother one morning, and I said, "Mom, um, I don't think it's safe for me to work for Dennis Gordon anymore. Um, People keep manipulating me at work with some sort of synthetic device. I deal with electricity. I deal with natural gas. I deal with flammable oils." I said, "I do not believe it's safe for me to go back to work, Mom." I think I'm gonna find a new job. And her face went blank. And her face went, "God damn it. La, 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 la. Get the fuck out of the house." Literally, no explanation, no nothing. She got possessed. There was fucking, there was another face in her. And for no reason at all, she kicked me out of the house and wouldn't let me come back. And then immediately, I was directed to a number online to call David Brotzman, and I immediately moved in his household that day. And I had to go knock on my mother's door, and my brother is standing at the door saying, "I don't know if I could let you in the house. It's not my house, it's Mom's house. I don't know what's going on, but she doesn't want you in the house." Now, if you go back and interview my mother and ask her, "Why did you kick Chris out of the house?" You know what my mom's gonna say? She probably hasn't even thought of it since then, because they have a way to wipe your mind and just push you forward. I call it a steamrolling technique. This is how crooked mobsters, and this is how the crooked law enforcement just keep getting away with fucking all sorts of bullshit. It's because they steamroll you. They wipe your mind, and then they push you forward and push you forward and push you forward. And then there's so many things that push you forward that you don't even remember the stuff that happened in the past, because you're just like so far forward in life already. Um, but yeah, so this is how I ended up at David Broadson's house. I maliciously got kicked out of my house because while my father was out away on an airplane trip, because my father's an airline pilot, my mother got manipulated, and she got controlled. And my brother was there to witness it. My brother had to come downstairs and say, "Chris, what is wrong with you?" And I said, "People just controlled Mom." And he says, "What are you talking about?" He said it just like that. He goes, "What are you talking about? People cannot control people. You have full control of your body, Chris. What are you talking about?" And they literally just boycotted me and made me look crazy because they controlled my family. If you go back and ask my mother why she kicked me out of the house, there's no reason. I went down and said I didn't feel safe for working with Dennis, and I got kicked out of the house. And then I was immediately moved to David Brotzman's house. You see where this is all getting a little weird here now? Because now all these people are like webbed together, but what's going on? I don't know. I do not know the facts. That's why I'm putting it on camera. That's why I notified news companies. I notified Fox Nation News. I notified Fox 29. Fox 29, if you didn't get the news reports I sent you, it's because this county manipulated you. I'm just telling you right now. I also sent it to the New York Times. New York Times, I got a receipt back saying you got it. Or no, Fox, one of the Foxes, I got a receipt back saying you got it. And I also sent them my 86-page state compliance report, or the state board report that I sent on everybody. And funny thing is, how do the state troopers, their office is running internal affairs on their self? That doesn't make sense. So now the whole office could be just like the person who runs internal affairs is the people, are the operators of these devices. I know. So the people I'm trying to get investigated are the people that investigate themselves. Is that not bullshit? That is just fucking most bullshit motherfucking thing I ever heard. Excuse my French. So that's why I'm getting outside resources to help me, because my whole life for the past 2 years is ruined. I've worked every single day for the past 2 years, unless it was a holiday, and I have no money to show for it. I work paycheck to paycheck. Now I make over $1,000 a week, and I can't afford anything. I can't afford anything. They literally went so far as to just start taking money out of my bank account. They literally just started hacking my bank account and controlling my hands to break my cell phones. Over the course of the past year, I've broken 9 cell phones. One cell phone, I put $100 bill in the back of my case. I have a wallet. I never even carry cash on me. The one time they had me pull cash out of my cell phone, of my ATM, and put it behind my cell phone, all of a sudden my cell phone disappears, and I have a whole bunch of NLP algorithms saved on it from like the week prior. So now they got me, a magician, to explain a whole bunch of NLP algorithms on my notes on my phone. They had me put $100 bill in it, and then they had me misplace my phone somewhere. Fucking ridiculous. I know, and it sounds very, very crazy. But when you break and lose 9 phones, and when you go to sign up for psychology, the day I signed up for psychology to prove all this happened, because I wanted to have a better mindset to be able to explain it, guess what happened? My hands were controlled to break my laptop screen, and then my cell phone was wirelessly manipulated, and my cell phone charger port was broke. So then I was able to watch my battery die and not able to charge my phone. And then after that, they controlled my hands to crack my screen, so I wasn't able to turn it back on, even after the charger port wouldn't charge. And this was the same day I was literally on the phone with my counselor at CTU, Colorado Tech Online, setting up my online classes. And these were the only 2 devices that I was able to do my classwork on. Fucking ridiculous, huh? I know. It's bad. It's very bad. And on top of that, the day I started to work for UPS, they had me call Dennis Gordon and say, because he was like, they put a sense of Dennis in my mind, and they made me think that he was manipulating me. And he had me call him and say, Dennis. They had me say all sorts of vulgar shit, and they sent text messages to the text messages I sent to Dennis. He sent to my probation officer, and my probation officer used them against me in the court of law to have a stay away order with Dennis. And Dennis edited out the text messages and didn't even send the right text messages. There was text messages that said if I came on his property, he was going to shoot me and kill me and all sorts of stuff. And then I had since then given my probation officer the right text messages, but the court order was already written up and filed before I got to my probation office and showed them these messages. So they walked me in my happy ass in the court, and when I explained to him the setup of Dennis's office and how I thought he was manipulating me, they labeled me as crazy. They never looked up any information on Dennis, and they puppeteered me over to fucking Alex Thomas, and they controlled Alex Thomas. When Alex Thomas, the day before I or the week before I went to go see Alex Thomas, they controlled me to go to a website that was for the lost mine syndrome. It was a CIA and Illuminati headquarters in Philadelphia, and they have a PDF of a book you could download, and it tells you all sorts of crazy shit the Illuminati does to babies and shit when they're growing up. Because I read this book, when I went to go see Dr. Alex Thomas, I was explaining to him some of the things I read out of this book. Now, Dr. Alex Thomas, when do you see a doctor who's interviewing you for a mental health disorder throw his hands in the air like this and go, Illuminati? And he goes like this and writes it down on his notepad. Doctors don't act like that. Doctors don't flail their arms in the air and act out when they're trying to diagnose a patient. And that's exactly what Dr. Thomas did. Someone was manipulating Dr. Thomas. So now, is this doctor going to lose all his credentials because someone manipulated him? David Brotzman, his personal profile, when someone's channeling through someone, I have a sense and I could see I could sense the person who's in it, because I've been trained to do this by alchemists and magicians in Seattle and Washington and Oregon. Because of this, I know who's in them. David Brotzman was in my fucking probation officer when I was interrogating him on this instant. Okay, I said, everything was really fishy to me. So one afternoon, I went into my probation officer at one of our normal check-ins, and I started interrogating him like a detective. And I said, how did you originally make contact with Dennis Gordon? I said, did he call you or did you call him? And my probation officer, Matt, got real thrown back. And he goes, that's not information that you need to worry about. And I said, come on, Matt. I'm an adult here. I'm intelligent. I said, Matt, how did you start transferring information and conspiring against me? I didn't use the word conspire, but that's what I was thinking. How did you and Dennis Gordon start opening up a dialogue and talking about me? And now also too, Dennis Gordon, he also communicated to me that he had multiple members of his staff, multiple workers that worked for him that were on probation. So are these guys working with law enforcement and literally just like entrapping individuals? I'm not sure, but there's definitely a room to investigate there. And also, too, when I went over to David Brossman's house, every single person in his house was a DUIer or someone who didn't have a vehicle. Every single person was someone who he could easily push around and manipulate. Every single person was on some sort of probation or something. What's going on here, people? It's the law enforcement and crooked mobsters entrapping individuals in the neighborhood. And now I come from a wealthy family. And now all of a sudden, all my family members and shit who have wealth have been being fucked with. I have a cousin who's a traveling nurse. She got into a car wreck. She got T-boned. And she said immediately when she got T-boned, she had a sense that my mind was in her. Why? If I've never channeled my fucking cousin, why was I in her mind when she got hit by a fucking car? And immediately the day before, the week or the day before, she texted me and asked me this. She said, "You were in my mind when I got hit by the car." And you know what? It was like a setup. You know why? Because I just got done watching the movie Black Widow. And the movie Black Widow is all about architecture, like psychic architecture and architecturing the community. And you could use these synthetic machines to do it. And so I said, I'm not sure, but I'll teach you how to architect and teach you how to read the architecture of the community so you could better keep yourself safe and stuff. But now they have text messages, incriminating text messages from myself because I was pre-programmed the week before by a movie. And I thought it was cool because that was one of my hobbies, because I was learning to be a magician, because my background is a bad background and I wanted to do something in a surname so I didn't get looked down upon. So now they're setting me up all the way through the whole time I've been in this county. And I'm going to leave you with that. And then we're going to go out to Rutherford County out in Tennessee, and we're going to see what happened there. How they took my license away from me so then they could keep me here without I don't know if they did it on purpose, but they took my license away from me. And then here the DMV here says you don't need to get a breathalyzer for your first year DUI, but guess what? They won't let me get a fucking license because they said Tennessee and Oregon, which is a state I never even held a license in, has a hold on my licenses. I mean, excuse me, not Oregon, Seattle, Washington, not Oregon, Washington. I've never held a license in either of those states, but Washington and Tennessee have a hold on my license, and I've never had a license in either fucking state. And the Commonwealth state of Pennsylvania says I need to get a breathalyzer in my vehicle in order for them to release the hold. But the Commonwealth state says you don't have to get a breathalyzer for first-year DUIs. And now it's hard for me to get insurance because I need to purchase a vehicle and get it titled and registered, but I can't get it titled and registered without insurance. And I could get non-driver's insurance, but now I have to buy a vehicle, get non-driver's insurance, fucking sit there with a vehicle on the street that I can't drive, put a breathalyzer in it, and then go get my driver's license? How the fuck does that work? And my probation officer knew all about it. He said, "Yeah, they do it a little backwards here." Sure, Matt, they do it a little backwards, huh? Sounds like you're doing it shit a little backwards, Matt. That's my probation officer. Since I filed a complaint on them, it's a conflict of interest, and they better I don't even need to be on probation. First of all, I should have never been put in that fucking jail. They controlled my fist, and excuse me for being heated here, but how would you feel if you were controlled for a whole year after the fact? Every waking and sleeping moment, they tortured me. It's literally with synthetic frequencies, tapping into my peripheral and central nervous systems and putting pain in my body. Any synthetic biologist will tell you this. I'm going to finish it with that because I'm getting too heated. And we're going to talk about how I lost my fucking license and how they illegally use synthetic devices to move me from the passenger seat to the driver's seat and have me wake up from a trance behind a moving vehicle.